when footballers cheated death. Injuries are a sad reality of football that cannot be ignored. Every footballer knows that all it takes is one tackle for them to lose it all. However, what no one ever prepares for is the moment when your life flashes before your eyes and you get this feeling that your time is coming to an end. So today, we'll look at some of the football players who cheated death, or rather miraculously survived a meeting with the Grim Reaper. We'll start with the most recent one. Luton captain Tom Lockyer suffered a cardiac arrest during a Premier League game against Bournemouth on December 16, 2023. The Welsh defender fell on the ground in the second half, but was quickly stretchered off the pitch. Thanks to the prompt response of the Bournemouth medical staff, he was immediately taken to a nearby hospital. Thankfully, the Wales international survived the scare, and we're hopeful he'll return to the pitch soon. In October 2023, Liverpool star Trent Alexander-Arnold cheated death. He was literally inches away from having his car hit by a 40-foot electricity pylon that was uprooted by the storm Babbitt. The England international showed great reflexes by slamming the brakes and swerving, thus avoiding the pylon going through the windscreen. We now move to a former Liverpool player, Fernando Torres. During a league encounter between Atletico Madrid and Deportivo La Coruña, the Spanish striker fell awkwardly on the field. Footage shows that his jaw was locked and his teammates and opponents tried to provide him with prompt first aid. Thankfully, the former World Cup winner survived the scare. But this scare was nothing compared to the one that Christian Eriksen gave us during the Euro 2020 game between Denmark and Iceland. The Danish midfield maestro fell face first with no one close to him. Both the Danish and Icelandic players quickly came to his rescue, and Simon Kjær providing him with first aid. Eventually, the midfielder was stretchered off the pitch looking dazed. He'd suffered a cardiac arrest, and after months of rehab, he was finally able to return to the pitch with a defibrillator implanted on top of his heart. During a Premier League encounter between Arsenal and Wolves, Raúl Jiménez and David Luiz had a serious collision with the Wolves man Jiménez coming out worse. The Mexican striker fell and lost consciousness. After being treated on the pitch, Jiménez was taken to a hospital where it was revealed that he had fractured his skull. To this day, he wears a protective headband to avoid something similar happening. This is exactly what former Chelsea goalkeeper Petr Cech went through during a Premier League game against Reading when Stephen Hunt's trailing knee absolutely crunched his head. The fracture was so severe that it took multiple surgeries to get things moving. Cech made a return to the pitch 3 months later, donning protective headgear that also looked quite fashionable. Interestingly enough, Cech says that he has no memory of the collision or anything after the pre-game handshake between players of both teams. Imagine an accident that ends a career before it even begins. This is what could have happened to Neymar when he was a toddler. Neymar's family was going through a highway whilst the weather was super bad, and due to that, an onrushing vehicle crashed into them. The accident was very severe, but his mum and dad were alright. Naturally, they were more worried about their son, and to their horror, they couldn't find him. Thankfully, he was discovered by people from another car that had stopped to help. Neymar was under the back seat of the car. Luckily, he only had a few minor bruises. And we definitely could have lost Cristiano Ronaldo back in 2009 while he was still shining bright for Manchester United. It was a stormy day and visibility was poor. However, Ronaldo did not want to be late for training, so decided to drive his Ferrari a little faster than usual. Unfortunately, due to a slippery road, his car veered out of control inside a tunnel. The aftermath of the accident was not a great sight, and the supercar was completely written off. But by some miracle, Ronaldo was okay. In 2022, PSG goalkeeper Sergio Rico nearly lost his life when he was thrown off his horse. The horse trampled his neck and head, putting him into a coma. However, the Spaniard survived the ordeal, and according to his doctors, he could have lost his life had the injuries been half a centimeter deeper. But the scariest one must be from the March 2012 Premier League game between Tottenham and West Brom. Fabrice Muamba returned to White Hart Lane for the first time since leaving Spurs. Halfway through the first half, the midfielder collapsed on the pitch. There were attempts to resuscitate him, but it simply wasn't working. It was later found out that Muamba's heart had stopped working for 78 minutes, and he received multiple defibrillator shocks on the pitch and on his way to the hospital. Fortunately, he survived the ordeal. Before we go, we also need to mention former Paraguay international Salvador Cabanas, who was shot in the head in 2010 at a nightclub. Fortunately, he survived the headshot and played a bit of football after that before retiring. So guys, these were some players who cheated death. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And before you leave, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe buttons. Turn on your notifications and watch this next video. Till next time.